All right, going to be drawing some thumbnails for videos and newsletters live here in Procreate. Thought I'd turn this on and you can watch me as I make these live. So tonight we're going to work on today, I guess it's not really tonight. Going to work on this thumbnail for the Draw or Die newsletter. The theme was Baby New Year. So I'm going to be drawing a Baby New Year out. I'm going to ink it, color it, show you my entire process here for this newsletter. So this newsletter block is about 1,000 by 600 pixels when it's final, but I'm drawing it about 3,000 pixels by 1,800 pixels here in Procreate. And yeah, so I'm gonna get rid of these layers. Kind of just get into my regular pencil here. Get rid of that layer there. So first up, it's pencils, and how I did that was, as I started this, I drew this little guy real small, just kind of the composition of it and the shape of the Baby New Year. The concept here is the Baby New Year kind of with some art supplies. So he's going to have a big sharp pencil. So I'm just getting into the actual penciling of the Baby New Year here. So I'm going to first fade out that little composition, doodle, sketch, scribble. And now I'm going to get right into some of the penciling here. And I'm just going to kind of use my red pencil. No real reason for that, just that we're going to ink it up in black and all that stuff too, but just like to kind of get the overall lines going. It looks like he's got his little legs back here, and this is where his foot will go. 1 foot, 2 foot, baby feet. Yeah, and I'll be talking live as I'm drawing here. I might check some comments if people pop in with questions or anything like that, but mostly I'm just here drawing. When I'm doing this deep work, I'm going to might bust into some random thoughts about art, drawing, and life in general as I do this. But yeah, so I'm drawing this in the Procreate app on the iPad Pro. Procreate is my preferred drawing program for many reasons, and mostly it's because of the brushes just feel so much better in Procreate to me. I really like the Procreate feel of the brushes. I've tried just about every art program, and I've settled in on Procreate. And that's what that's my jam. So here we have, his little sash. It's probably going to say 2023 on it. Yeah, we'll just put that in there for now. I'll work on the final lettering and the inking and stuff. Right now, it's just kind of just getting the form. I don't like this shoulder here. It looks a little off. Babies are weird to draw anyways, just so you know. But trick to drawing babies is they have really big features. So big head, big eyes. They're kind of just weird, wonky shapes. And I prefer to draw babies in cartoon form than like a realistic baby, because babies are just tricky to draw, man. Hey Gary, thanks for tuning in. A little surprise drawing stream today. Figured I was sitting here drawing anyways. I might as well pop this on and kind of talk while I'm drawing. So yeah, this will be the final artwork. Will be the thumbnail for the tomorrow's newsletter. That's better. Just a little shade in there. We'll have a diaper on him as well, just because. But yeah, I prefer to draw in the Procreate app. It's my go-to. There's so many features I don't use in the Procreate app. I'm just straight up kind of working very traditionally inside of Procreate. You know, I have a pencil layer. I'm using pencils, inks, colors, and that kind of stuff. So this is my first go at the pencils here. I won't see the other baby's hand. He's just kind of sitting there. We'll have some shadow here. And then I think maybe some other art supplies. So, you know, maybe like a big crayon here. And he's chosen the pencil as his choice, which is kind of funny that I don't think any parent would ever let their baby have a sharp object like that. Don't do that out there, folks. This is just a cartoon. Maybe that's a crayon there. Maybe this is like a paintbrush. Right. Maybe like a Sharpie. Hey, sketch my story. Thanks for watching. I'll put like a Sharpie marker here. Right. Sharpie marker. What else? Oh, you know, good old Apple Pencil, I guess. Laying here. Or a stylus of any kind, maybe. That's what it could be. Right. So the thing about drawing thumbnails, and I'm just gonna kind of go in here and show you, like I just drew this last thumbnail for the YouTube channel. There's an art to thumbnails, just like there's an art to magazine covers or comic book covers. It's got to be something that just pops off, gets the point across. So that was for the 2023 art goals. You know, this one was for the Defeat the Funk. I didn't really put this up as a video, but it's definitely a graphic just for the cover of that course. What else here? I know I have a couple others in here. Oh yeah, so Cash for Cartoonists. I drew that a while ago. That works. I mean, that kind of gets the point across that, like, hey, cartoonists can make money. He's running away with a big sack of money. Have this idea here for digital artists telling traditional artists to get in the rocket ship and go away. So like, I just like the idea that the thumbnail might be a cartoon that conveys what's about to be in the video or in the newsletter. Like I think I had this one for something too, like kind of like the idea of like Pulp Fiction. And so of course, the thing I'm working on now is a thumbnail for the baby, like 2023 Happy New Year. Try some new art supplies, things like that. So that's kind of what this is. So it's a very simple concept, and we might get into some lettering, like maybe the lettering goes here, maybe the lettering goes there. I don't know. I'm not sure yet, but I think I'm going to hand draw whatever the lettering is too, just because I don't want to constantly rely on fonts. I like that hand cartoon look. So that's kind of what we'll do. We'll put some kind of title there. I don't know. This isn't for a YouTube video, so maybe I'll just leave this blank for now, but it could also be for a YouTube video, like this thumbnail here. So I think it's it's an interesting concept anyways, hand-drawn YouTube thumbnails for YouTubers and like top channels. Many popular YouTubers are already like kind of sketching out their thumbnail ideas anyways, even before they make the videos. So I think it's a big perk that cartoonists have, that we can just do this. We could just sit down and draw these thumbnails out So I'm going to change this to black. Go to my ink brush. Ink or dye. Right. We'll just start with the baby face, I guess. And I'm just going to go with those dot eyes, you know? Like something simple. Something big. We'll get in here and do some coloring too in a little bit. And, you know, real quick plug, if you're watching the video, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. It lets YouTube know to send this out to other artists and people like you. Yeah, Gary, I like exactly. He got the idea with the sea of YouTube thumbnails out there. I don't know if you're on, you're on YouTube now, and you can kind of see like the people with the and like they're just doing like crazy expressions, and they up the saturation. And I've sat in so many of those tips and tricks for thumbnails, how to improve your channel and stuff like that. And I'm like, wait a minute, I can just draw this. And I forget who it was. I was watching live at Vid Summit with someone showed their thumbnail process, and they had this little sketchbook, and it was like crudely drawn out, concepts, which weren't really that bad. They were pretty good cartoons, but then they were like, we got to now like formulate these into photo shoots and stuff like that. And I'm like, well, why not just have a cartoonist, draw it out? My hand's a little shaky this morning, but it doesn't matter. I'm also just gonna kind of give him those, Charlie Brown type Linus hair for babies. We've got a really thin eyebrows. I think mainly when I'm trying to just draw simple cartoons like this, I'm just trying to get one swoop, one nice confident line. Do I draw with stabilization off or on other brushes? I think my brushes have a little bit of smoothing on them. So this is my custom inking brush. So this is the one I've been using for years, and I'm not sure exactly what this. I won't open up the settings right now, but this one has a little bit of stabilization, but not. Yeah, it's not real high jitter brush, so I can get enough. I don't like those brushes that like really smooth everything. I like to have a little, wiggle or a little human touch to it. There's a time and place, I guess, for everything. If you want to have like those really smooth, manga looking lines or something like that, or like those little cute little Japanese sticker type things, then you might want to use a unified like line brush. Those gel pen brushes are pretty good for that too. Oh yeah, Brian Trahan. I was just watching his new video last night. That was Ryan Trahan's talk. He had a little sketchbook with like little cartoons in it or something. Like, and I was like, oh man, maybe we can get Ryan to have me draw some of his thumbnails. Definitely going to Dallas next year for Vid Summit. If you'll be there, sketch my story. Email me, and it'd be cool to have like a little drawing set up there. I'll be there with Spreadshop, my day job, but I'm also there with all of our friends, our brand ambassadors, but they've all become really good friends, Nick Nimmin and Roberto Blake and Daniel Batal, all those famous YouTube teacher guys. But love those guys and gals. But yeah, I'd probably be at VidCon too, but not in an official capacity, just kind of roaming around at both VidCons this year. I'm working on another channel as well, and I'm debating some of the advice I've been given about my new channel for drawing stories and stuff like that. And this channel is more about the craft and the Draw or Die Club and helping artists stay encouraged and things like that. Kind of showing my process, but mixing story with the topics is a little tricky. I think like a story channel, you just want more of a general audience, people that just like storytelling and just want to be entertained on YouTube. I think that you shouldn't mix those two things in one channel. It's just a little, it might not serve your channel well from what I understand. So I'm working on another channel and another story for my stories. And I don't know if I'll actually share it or I'll do the thing where I just put it out there and let YouTube do its thing. Let YouTube help me find the audience for the type of stories that I'll be telling there. It's interesting topics about how to build an audience and things on with your art on YouTube. I like thinking about it and just kind of experimenting a little bit with it. I'd say the most, the biggest topics on my channel right now, I'm such a small channel, but the things that seem to be popping off are when I'm showing people how to make money with their art. Not my favorite thing to talk about because I don't want to be held responsible for somebody's finances, but I do love to share, and it feels really good when someone kind of gets enlightened and starts making some money with their art off of something I said, or they never thought about even what I'm talking about right here. There's a potential to offer a service to draw cool thumbnails for YouTubers or your own YouTube channel. So now I noticed here that this 1 foot is like, I'm gonna fix it because you can, but this foot's a little small for me. So I'm just gonna go ahead and fix that. Just a little bit. Just a little nudging. Tuck them in there. All right. I forget who I was talking to, and I said Ryan Trahan, and I think they couldn't believe that I watched Ryan Trahan because I just don't seem like, I don't know if there's a certain type of people that, young hip kids or something. I don't know, but I like Ryan Trahan's videos. I like his sense of humor. It's kind of dry, and I watch Mr. Beast's videos just like many people, but I think some of my older friends are like, "What, you're doing what now? Watching what YouTube thing?" And I'm like, "Yeah, man, it's fun." But I think there's also like a big opportunity for comic book artists and cartoonists, the visual storytellers like we have in the Draw or Die Club, to really kind of expand into video storytelling, because when I go and I sit in all these panels, I'm like, oh yeah, I know all that. I know this part. I know the storytelling beats and things like that. And it's like they're just discovering it just for YouTube. Like they're like, we discovered the secret of storytelling. like the things that they say for thumbnail design and things like that. Actually, it's just very classic advertising, visual storytelling, advertising tricks from like the 1950s and 40s, and a lot of the same things they're talking about are tried and true for magazines and, you know, movie posters. That's another thing. Like, I think Hayden Hiller Smith, he's a great editor. One of the great editors of YouTube videos was talking about the book Save the Cat or something like that. And I happen to have that book, actually a couple of them. There's The Cat Strikes Back or something like that. I don't know. But that's about screenwriters, and like it's really similar to how YouTubers think about you should come up with the concept and the movie poster first before you even film anything. And it's very similar to Hollywood thinking. Smart. I don't necessarily agree with that. I know that there's a lot of Hollywood companies. I worked for Platinum Studios, and they they had sold Cowboys and Aliens before there was ever a script or anything. They just had a poster made of a dude on a horse looking back, and there was a spaceship over his head. And they sold that to like DreamWorks or something early on. They got it optioned without a script, without a comic, without anything, and then they worked backwards and made the comic, and then slowly but surely made the movie. It's a good way to test your market, I guess. Put out something and see if it resonates, and then build backwards. But yeah, I like that Hollywood game. Not for me. I'll stick to cartoons. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Ryan. Different moments at Vid Summit are pretty surreal. It's a surreal thing at Vid Summit, because I mean, it's been my second year now there, and I know a lot of the people now. I know Daryl, and but kind of being a fly on the wall. I really enjoy, Peter McKinnon and stuff like that. And I was wearing, I think, no, I'm not wearing a Peter hat. I was wearing the Pete's Pirate Life hat at the after party, or the kickoff party last year. And this dude comes up to me and he's like, "Oh man, you got the hat." And I'm like, "Yeah, man." And he's like, "I missed the hat. I wish Pete would have got me this hat." And I'm looking at this guy, and he's like, really, really good looking dude. He looks like a movie star or something, or like Ryan Reynolds or something. And I was like, "How do you know Pete?" Because I'm a huge Peter McKinnon fan. And he's like, "Oh, I was Pete's first manager." And I'm like, "What?" And I didn't realize it was Sean Holiday was standing there talking to me. And as he's telling me, I'm like, oh my god, I watched this video with you guys. I watched the Raptor truck video of you guys in the desert messing around, and those dudes just have a lot of fun. But I said, I just wanted to know, because I always ask people stories. How did you even hook up with Pete? So he kind of gave me the background story of how they kind of discovered him, and Sean Doris, I think, discovered kind of Pete, and Pete kind of found them. It was just like this really fun story about how they came up, and I just love hearing those stories. And that you can only hear those types of stories at places like Vid Summit. Yeah. Hey, thanks for listening. I'll check your DM, sketch my story, and we'll talk more. Enjoy your New Year's Eve, and have a good New Year. And I'll probably see you this New Year. Right. So yeah, we got the inks almost done here for this little baby New Year. That's a little crooked, actually. A little off. Let's try to clean this up a little bit. I want to have a bold shadow just because it kind of draws the eye down to the tools a little bit. And then we'll get into some coloring too. So just want to do a little line for the floor here. All right. Right. Okay, cool. So at this point, like when I have just this much done, I'm ready to kind of get into some flatting. So what I'll do is I'll just kind of I'll turn off those pencil layers completely, and I'll pop a layer right underneath there. And I just like to usually use grays. I mean, I know a lot of colors do different ways, but like for me, I'm like, okay, this is going to be the background flat, and then I'm going to put a layer above that, and I'm going to use a lighter gray. And I just kind of come in here, make sure I'm on the right layer here. I just kind of come in here and fill in the main forms. So if there's characters, if it's a comic book page, you know, there's a lot of this happening. It takes a little while to do, but let me bump up the line weight there a little bit. Right. Just kind of get in, go around. I'm going to fill this all in with light gray. And this is pretty much how I approach all of my spot illustrations, or like all of my cartoons, or the other thumbnails that I show on my channel. It's just kind of like the little tedious part. I also have to make sure, like you might see here, there's some little tiny lines. There's a way to get rid of that, but I don't even care at this point. I'll just kind of just fill those in, you know. Just kind of get in there and just fill in those little spaces. You could do a little trick with your fill brush. Like I'll just show you real quick. Like if you fill this as you're dragging and dropping your slider in, you can hold it down in the threshold thing. If you hold your brush down and slide it back and forth, it will give me a threshold that'll fill up the bucket more. So I'm going to make it actually do that. No, so all right, about 10% threshold does it. Right. Okay. Great. A little bit there. Now I think it'll just actually fill it in for me better. But I don't mind going around just a real quick look to make sure I didn't miss any kind of like edge thing before I isolate this layer. So I'm going to isolate that. Just kind of get in there, take a look around. All right, there's like see here, there's a little bit of gray peeking out. I'll just clean that up real quick. Oops. Get in there. One last look. All right, so baby's done. And I'll also do the art tools with the little big crayon here. Right. Just fill in everything that's going to not be in a background, because it's kind of fun to kind of get in and do some digital painting with some background textures. I've been doing a lot of that for my other project, and I'm just having a lot of fun doing that stuff and kind of exploring with different brushes I normally wouldn't use. I love my little gouache brush, some other special effects brushes and stuff that I've been picking up. Yeah. Cool. Awesome. So looks like, oh, we got cloud over the baby here. Just get rid of that. Right. So yeah, so now I've got the background and the foreground. I'm going to isolate by just grabbing that layer and sliding to the right with 2 fingers, and it isolates the layer now. And then I'll do the same thing with the black, or the background, even though it's one big chunk. And now I'm just starting the baby, right? And I've got some color palettes here. Where's my color palettes? Comics. I'll go with this guy, comics. right. Should have went back to my disk. Yeah, comics. So I already have my palette set up for like some skin tone. And since he's mostly a baby skin, I'm just gonna drag and drop the flesh tone in there. So now he's got that. And we'll just work on the flesh tone real quick. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab the other color, or I might even darken it up a little bit more than that. And then just get underneath his mane. So I like a lot of, for the cartoon look like this, I just like doing like 2 or 3 tone coloring. So we're just going to go in and kind of follow where the form is. You know, that nose is sticking out, a little baby lip, maybe inside the lip there a little bit. Yeah, Gary. I think I have another video on my channel, Gary, if you want to watch the key gestures for Procreate art. I think that's in there. How to isolate, cut, copy, paste, all that stuff. I've had a lot of my other artist friends that like draw on Wacom or Cintiq, and you could do all that stuff in Photoshop and all that. They're like, I can't do that on iPad. I'm like, there's no real guide to it that's out there where it's just like, do it. You got to kind of figure it out or watch videos. So I watched some videos and I kind of put together what works best for comic book, comic book people or cartoonists. Right. There's some blending brushes and things. I'm just gonna, I don't really worry about too much where the light's coming from. I know that there's a shadow down here. I'm not going to get too involved in it. Just make it look good. That's kind of the, make it look right. And if you can come back in and blend this a little bit, like even the baby's stomach should be a little more filled in, I think, underneath his arm. There's a lot of things, a lot of tricks to art that you can do by making like the shadowing pull into where you want the eye to go to. Like I'd like the eye to focus on this pencil as a focal point, of course. The baby's looking at it, so it's going to make you look at what the baby's looking at. There's all kinds of little tricks to that. We're going to do a drop shadow underneath his arm here. Whoops. Right. Oh, nope. That's the eraser brush. It's very sensitive. Right. I think the more you do it too, it just kind of naturally, you just think about these things as you're drawing, like composition wise, the pencil, the sash. Like if you look at, I'm just going to do another layer here real quick to talk what I'm talking about. How I think when I'm drawing, change to like a red brush and like, yeah. So if I want my focal point to be the pencil, right? The boy's looking at the pencil, and then the shadow kind of brings you down to this sash. Sash is going to be white, and it kind of points you down to the tools, and then the tools kind of point you up to something. Maybe the title goes here, right? So it's kind of like this overarching thing going on, composition wise. So. Right. Okay. Let's get back to the shadows. Now, we know that the light's coming that way a little bit, so I will make a little, why not? I don't even change my brush at this point. I just kind of keep the inking brush. Because for the cell art, cell-looking animation art, it's okay if it's that. There's some softer brushes and stuff that I could use, but really it doesn't matter. It's going to serve the same. It's going to serve the same purpose in the end. Right. His one eye is a little bit smaller. I'm just going to fix that now that I'm looking at that. It's just a little tad off. Right. Okay. That's a little bit better. Clean that up. hit that little line there, a little cheek line. All right, good enough. And then, you know, I think maybe why not? We'll do the highlight color, and I just go ahead and eye it up. I got a couple presets, but I'm just going to hit it with that. It's a very subtle little, you know, where the light might be hitting. Little ding. A little bit on the toes. That arm, this finger. Right. Yeah, babies are weird to draw, but there you go. there's a baby. Let's go into here. We might soften up these black lines with some color lines here in a minute. I'll isolate those layers and just kind of, you know, soften that up a little bit. Let's make his diaper white. And okay, it's looking pretty good. Not even really worried about the background color yet. I'm gonna go ahead and do this pencil. Grab a yellow. Classic yellow. And probably a pink for that eraser in there. Right. Gray for in that lead. Sometimes you got to unisolate, like I said, and fix a little bit of that. Re-isolate that. Then we'll hit this with, whoops, we'll hit this with a bit lighter. Oh. Pencil lead there. Like that. Right. I'm not going to change the black lines yet until I see what the background color is going to be. And I think this will be like a red crayon. That sounds good. Just drop it. It's pretty bright red, actually. Get in here. That's better. Okay. Same thing. I just kind of grab, pull up, so there's a different little shade of red, and then just hit that up with a little highlight. Kind of a more muted for the label of the crayon, I guess. It's kind of really hard to see. It's not even noticeable, actually. Mute it out a little bit more. None of that really matters. It's such a small detail. Artists tend to noodle on small things that no one will ever notice, to be honest. I'll hit it with just a little shadow. Right. No one will ever zoom in that close either. So that's another point about digital art is like, you know, you're going to see it this size when it's on a screen or in the newsletter or whatever. you're never going to see it this close. So you could spend so much time noodling and going like, oh, I got to fix that little edge there because it is bothering me when I'm looking at it, but no one's going to see it when it's that small. So don't worry about it. Move on. We're going to go ahead and make this brush blue. Silver. Got it. Keep that gray. Drop a shadow under it. And a highlight. It's just quicker for me to actually just do this than switching back and forth with the swatches, to be honest. And like sometimes I like a little variation in the tones, if that makes sense. Like if it's the same tone over and over again, it's not how light actually works either. So people won't notice. Like I said, no one's going to notice that there's a highlight on that Sharpie pen. But there is. It's there. And we got a gray here. So this is an Apple pencil. I'm just going to hit it with some white, just like a white strip. Looks like an Apple pencil to me. And this line here won't be here. This is going to be faded out. We'll see in a minute because I'm going to go in with my wash brush, and I think I might go with like a blue in this one. I'll just up this wash brush really big. I'll zoom out a little bit and just kind of start hitting it with some blue. We'll just do the whole thing blue. Now I'll go to like a lighter blue. Just kind of hit it. See, this is kind of fun. Go back to that blue and hit that again. Kind of spackle it out. Right. This is like really satisfying to use these different brushes. Hit it with an even whiter. Change the size a little bit. Right. Then I'm going to just grab a gray tone. I'm going to go one layer above this just because. Oh, it's way big, way big. So I like the contrast of, you know, cell looking animated stuff like this with a painted background. It kind of just reminds me of like old school Looney Tunes, or like even what they're doing with a lot of like the newer cartoons. That's my, you know, that's kind of my jam. So we're gonna just grab this. And I really like this gouache brush. I made it a couple years ago, and out of I was messing with trying to make a watercolor brush, and then it looked like more like a gouache type of pattern to me, and I just liked how it looked. So I kind of put it into my main style. So that's another thing for me is like there's kind of a, you know, and Procreate artists that are using like digital stuff here, that it can be like analysis paralysis with all the brushes that are available out there. There's thousands and thousands, and you just spend so much time. So that's kind of what I did here with my set of brushes. I know that I'm using these brushes. This is not one that I use, actually. I'm not going to get rid of that one. But I've got my pencil brush. I've got my my main smooth inker. I've got an old school inker that kind of has a little texture to it. I've got my watercolor brush, my gouache brush, and a Zipatone brush. And I try to do most of all of my effects and all that stuff with those brushes. So now we're going to do some, well, you know, while I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and just do little silly things like this little drop shadow underneath this crayon here on the brush. Just real subtle things like that can add a lot of depth to your cartoon. Makes it just pop a little bit better. Like I said, I'm going to get rid of this line now. Oop. We don't even need it. It's just kind of there to guide me. And then it's a good resolution. Gary's resolution for 23 is to slim down the installed brush choices on my drawing apps. Yeah, way too many. Way too many. I mean, I have tons in this Procreate too, just because I like to experiment. But it can really, it really slows me down. I'm like, wow, I just spent an hour messing with brushes, when we've spent about 40 minutes here on this little illustration, you know. All right, cool. What's next? All right. So I'm going to isolate the line art. And now, you know, I can, whoops. I don't want this brush in here. Get out of here. I'm messing with a new smooth brush. I don't like it. Yeah, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 brushes that are my go-to brushes. I got my pencil brush, my ink brush, and I just usually use this ink brush for, you know, things like this. Just going over some lines. I'm gonna go ahead and make this baby's hair like brown. Maybe. See what it looks like. Right. And I can experiment with, you know, soften up this baby's. You can't really see it, but I'm changing it to like a, these lines to like a dark brown sort of. Oop, messed that up. Should have did this part first. That's a little trick, changing your line art just to soften the lines up a little bit. I think that's what we're going to do with this baby. His main lines are going to be like that. Brownish color. I don't often do this. It's not necessary, really, but kind of gives it more of an illustrated look, I guess. A little softer on the eyes. Might do the same thing for the sash. It's a gray line for that. I've had some other artists be like, DJ, why don't you do this little trick and this little thing and this and I'm like, listen, I can I think it's different for everybody, and this is how I do it, and I'm always open to learning new techniques and things, but like I can, you know, jam this out in an hour for a spot illustration by the way that I'm doing it right now. So yeah, I just bought some new brushes yesterday, actually, from Snooze One. Maybe I'll open those up and just kind of experiment a little bit with those. They're lettering brushes for like graffiti art and stuff like that. I'm kind of interested in doing some more lettering type stuff. So, okay, yeah, I want to change this to red. The 2023. Change that up. Red? Wait, why didn't it? Oh, 3-finger tap brings it back. All right, we'll just go back to the gray. like a dark gray here. It's a little bit too light. There we go. Just softens it up just enough. It's not so harsh. But yeah, I'd like to see more cartoonists doing thumbnails for YouTube and stuff like that. Gonna be kind of good to see. Let's choose if I want to do. I really want to do that. Now the black is kind of off. The black contrast is kind of getting to me, and so since these shadows are like those shadows, I'm just going to grab that color, darken it up just a little bit, and I want to just kind of color in his shadow, you know, to the same color as the shadow that's on the other items down there, just to see what it looks like. If we keep a little edge of black, it's not bad. It just doesn't look as harsh. It's okay if you like paint it in there to kind of know where the shadow is going to go. And this can stay black over here, but the floor shadow should be. And then we'll change his diaper line to the dark gray. We'll change this to the, oops. Oh yeah, okay. We don't even need that. We can just go right to the. I do need that line to go like that. All right. Mess this up. That's okay. I actually think it's okay if it's just the shadow of the regular shadow in the belly there. Again, you might find yourself kind of noodling too much, but now it looks a little cleaner than what it did. Great. Yeah, so that's kind of the main drawing of the baby for the newsletter. Oh, I might soften this up a little bit here, and I'm going to do some lettering now, just cause. We'll go with like a darker brown for the pencil. Maybe. Nope. Isolate those layers. Don't like that. We'll just go with a really light gray. Dark gray, I mean. It's very subtle. You can't even really see it too much. But it's there. Just kind of brings down the harsh lines there. Again, not necessary to do this, but I'm noodling a little bit. All right, great. Nope. See what this looks like with a little bit darker. Yeah, I think that's okay to do that too. Just to lighten those lines up on those items down there. Maybe except for the Sharpie cap. Yeah. Right? Okay. That looks pretty good. All right, so now I'm going to just kind of ideate here with what do I want this to say. So if I was working on a YouTube thumbnail, I would already kind of have my title. You don't want to put your full title in here. You want to go with sort of a one word sort of thing, or what's the main word what's the main word for the video. or the concept. Now this one is not. This drawing specifically is not for a YouTube video right now, but I'm going to pretend that it is. I'm going to pretend it's the thumbnail for this actual. We'll put this as the thumbnail for this video, if that's not too meta. So, but in order to do that, if this is the thumbnail that you're going to see, then I would like it to say something about drawing in Procreate. So I think, by the way, if you're still watching this, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel, and it helps YouTube send it to more artists. So I kind of like the idea of drawing. What are we doing here? I'm drawing a thumbnail live in Procreate. So let's see. I'm gonna give myself a new layer, and this will just be for me sketching out some lettering ideas, and then I'll just get into some the actual lettering, where it'll go. We already talked about the composition of this, how the pencil goes to the sash and the shadow, and then the pencils and the tools go around, and then even the Apple Pencil here is pointing up to like this area, which is a good place for, you know, a title of a YouTube video. And I think in this case, if it's something that's going to appeal to people watching me draw live in Procreate, maybe it's just something like drawing, draw, the word draw instead of drawing, right? Draw in Procreate. Let's get that down. And then I'll just work on, I'm on a different layer here, so and this is just like my layout for the lettering, so I can kind of get in here and figure out where I want the composition of the different stuff. Composition of where this goes. Draw in. And then the word Procreate's a weird word, but we're gonna center that, and I'm gonna go freeform. All right. Gary says, new layer, put an oversized jar dye ball cap on his head. I'm gonna do that, I think. Let's see. Draw in Procreate. I'm going to skinny this down a little bit. And then, you know, I want the word draw to be really, really big. So I'm going to go ahead and move this down. We're going to put the word draw really big. Draw. And you can kind of get fun with the little draw in Procreate. And then I'll zoom out and kind of see what that looks like. Thumbnail size. We might even just make this say, just want the word draw to be really big. So I'm going to move it over here, maybe. Draw. Yeah. Draw. No, I don't like that either. See, I'm figuring this out live. We're going to stick with it on this side, and I'm just going to fade that out a little bit. And I'll do the same thing. I'll just get in here, put a new layer. And I'm going to grab black for now. I could try to actually use some different brushes because it might be fun to use, actually, the color pack brush that I just downloaded. So you never know what's going to happen with it. Let's see what it's going to do. Okay, cool. A nice contrasting color of orange. Blue would be orange. Let's try that and see what happens. These brushes act totally differently, so I don't know what's going to happen. Smooth paint. I want to see this broad smooth. Right. Ooh, it's going to go like, whew. Wow. All right. Let's see what happens. A little bigger. I don't know if I'm going to use this. We'll see. That kind of looks kind of neat now that I'm looking at it on the other screen. Draw. Change this to blue. Oh, wow. These are weird colors on these brushes, but I don't really like that. Let me go back to this. Just kind of letting it do its thing. What's kind of purple going to do? Let's see what purple does. Purple does blue. That's weird. Do the main lettering. Procreate. Now I got to stick to what's underneath there so that it fits right. And not a plug for Procreate, but just the drawing program that I prefer to work in. So I'm messing around with some different color brushes now. It's an interesting brush. This one, I'm wondering when that color pulls out the magenta, the more purple like that. It kind of comes out randomly. I wonder what happens if I hit the orange up here. No, I don't want to do that. Or if you switch to white, I wonder what happens. Nope. Chisel smooth, we'll go some white. Whoa, that's big, that's big. Nope, I don't want that either. Okay. Way big. That's big too. How big is this brush? Wow. Okay. I'm going to switch back to my brushes now. I kind of want an effect of... Try not to move that around too much, but yeah, I'm interested. One of my resolutions for the year is to kind of mess with lettering more, and it's been really fun to kind of do some like graffiti looking lettering inside of Procreate. Draw on Procreate. Let's see what that looks like. Not bad. There's a lot of open space over here, but that's not always a bad thing. Great. So that'll be the thumbnail for this video on this. Draw and Procreate live. Add the word live. And I will switch back to just one of these other brushes here, Funky Brush. See what happens there. Oh, that's neat. I like that one. I want that to go more white, and it won't. Brush. I'm just going to keep hitting it. Nope. So a strange brush. So I'll go back to my brushes and hit that up with some white in the middle. That looks cool. I like that. Right. That looks cool. All right, let's do this is the version for YouTube, so I'll shut off that layer. And I like that idea that Gary had for the ball cap on a new layer. So like an oversized ball cap for the Draw or Die newsletter. So I'll just go ahead and delete that layer. Let's put a new layer on top of that. Let's new set of layers. So pencils. I'll go back to my Draw or Die. We'll just use a dark gray here. And I think like a really big. We'll totally hide the, maybe even like tilt a little bit. It's totally over his ears. Do that. I love Procreate. Gary says, I love Procreate, but I battle with the size, resolution, and the number of layers you get having to depend on the first two settings. Yeah, there's an art to it. Once you figure that out, it's pretty groovy. I know you could be like, oh, I'm trying to draw at 600 DPI or whatever, and it's giving you only like 5 layers. I can draw at 300 DPI. It doesn't equal print, which if you're used to print resolution and stuff like that, it can just it's kind of mind-boggling because it doesn't make sense. But the pixels on the iPad are not the same as the pixels on other things too. So you can really get away with drawing at 300 DPI. Yeah, I won't get to it's a complicated topic, but it's kind of hard to wrap your brain around sometimes. But maybe that's worth a different video to talk about how that stuff works. But yeah, so yeah, I see what you mean though. Certain brushes, you think, oh, this is a cool brush, and then you're trying to use it on, something that you're working on, and it's like not made for that size. I had some pencil brushes like that, and I was really like upset. Right? Okay. We'll just I can get rid of the pencil line now for his face. And then we'll just go ahead and make this a dark. Throw this underneath. Even with my drawing templates that I just put out, I didn't like the resolution that I made in Photoshop before I ported it over to Procreate, and I just didn't like it too much, to be honest. I was like, now I was using my regular brushes on a different size resolution, and it just wasn't, the shapes of the brush sizes that I have predetermined over here on the left weren't jiving with the new panel size. So yeah, but once you get that down and this is my set of brushes for this size, it's pretty groovy. I like it. There's an art to it, I guess. Could say. Fill that in. We'll draw the little skull and crossbones on the outside on a new layer. That's fine. Right. Whoops. Messed that one up. I actually thought about printing up some of these hats in the white leather patch next, because I got the regular leather patch, so I might do white leather next. So this kind of makes sense, maybe for a feature. Future merch drop. Yeah, that looks pretty cool. Nice. I think that's going to be good for the thumbnail for tomorrow's newsletter that comes out, the Draw or Die Club newsletter. So it's if you're watching this and you want to support that, it is. Let me go into this. I'm just going to grab one of these funky brushes here. Felt wet paint. Oh man. We'll go to dark blue. Oh, come on. That is that Draw or Die .club is where the weekly newsletter goes. Comes out on every Sunday. We also have a $5 club Drawing Club, new drawing prompt every day with some motivation stuff for keeping motivated. And then over on drawordie.co, is merch, the Procreate brushes, everything like that. If you're watching this, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. I think I'm done here. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this lettering on this, and we're going to make a thumbnail for this video to put on this video. So check back and you'll see it on the channel live. It'll look like this guy. And then we'll keep the hat on him because that looks pretty cool. Actually, I'd get rid of all that, guys. Swipe down and cut that. Right. We'll keep the little hat on him because it looks pretty cute. Great idea, Gary. Awesome. Thanks for watching, guys. And we'll see you maybe on the podcast on Thursday nights. Got the Wednesday warm-up on Wednesdays, and then I'll be popping back in here randomly when I'm working on stuff like this. If you want to see more of me drawing like YouTube thumbnails, totally let me know. And I think it'll be fun to pop this on and just kind of draw out some new thumbnails and like things for the small spot illustration like this. It takes about an hour or something like that. So it's been fun, and I'll see you guys real soon.